All right, music. Hold on. I added one. I added another one. But I think I'd rather have this one. That works for me. Oh, thanks. Thanks, man. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. Why would you... Thanks, Johnny.
Captain's log. Captain's log. Captain's log.
The song's called Captain's Log. Thanks.
Moon River.
There you go.
Captain's log. Captain's log.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Johnny, what are you doing? What? Johnny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
We're coming up in 10.
We're coming up in
Huh?
10, and yeah,
Oh,
hold on.
apologize.
What?
Whatever.
No, don't apologize. I'm sorry. I thought that was Johnny doing sound effects. That was
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your...
No, that was Johnny. I apologize for giving you guys 10 seconds as opposed to my usual 60 and 10.
I see. No problem.
Live from Chicago, the HAL Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
HAL Sparks, your comedian and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
HAL Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
So, good morning, Johnny Million. How are you this fine
Hi.
week now that you've, I don't know, recreated my opening music from scratch? I apologize to everyone on the stream. Not for the sounds that Johnny was making, which I will swear on my life were organic at some point, even if they were recorded himself. They were definitely created by the measure of the human body. But yeah, I will say that this has been that kind of a week anyways. So you feel like you need, I'm starting to understand. I mean, like I've kind of always, as a comedian, always understood, and you and I are big fans of what some would refer to as escapist music, for the very reason that when the more serious life gets, the more bit of an escape you might need. You might need that break from, when reality overwhelms itself. And I would like to argue that some of the great movies that we all classically love, that I will often refer to
Moon River.
while we're doing the show.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
There was a trend in film that we all look back to with warm hearts and like, oh, were we ever so innocent?
Take off, eh?
That had a certain amount of like freedom to it that maybe seemed lost on us for a while.
You lied to me.
That now we're starting to get a grip on that. At the same time, I think we've almost forgotten what was going on in parallel when those movies came out.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
That during the time those movies were coming out...
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
We were in the Cold War.
Yeah.
And the Cold War was not only on its own merits a very serious thing that led to fire-up conflicts all over the world and umpteen near misses where a nuclear launch almost happened war game style, right? Including one time, and I don't know if everybody knows about this, the time that the U.S. government accidentally bombed North Carolina. And do you know the story, Johnny Million?
I don't think I know the North Carolina one. I only know the one with the unsung hero in Russia who did not return fire.
Yeah. Yes, that guy. Well, the bombing of North Carolina was not an actual bombing. It was an accidental dropping of 2 nuclear bombs on North Carolina. They fell off the plane, essentially. I'll shorten the
Oh, my.
story today, but they ended up, one of them ended up in a lake or a river, and the government recovered it. The other one landed on a guy's farm, and
Did it
he
bounce?
became, that guy became an expert in maritime law almost
Oh,
instantaneously,
I'm certain.
because anything that falls out of the sky, because you may not, own, you own a certain level of the air above your property up to the point where traffic can go over.
Yeah.
But once anything goes below that and it's on your property, you own it. And so the US government had to buy back a nuclear bomb from a farmer in North Carolina because maritime law is what it is. And that was one of the most intense exchanges,
So when it
since
landed,
the Bay of Pigs.
it just like landed like a thud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be triggered. It has to be armed, and it has to, it's either like nukes aren't detonation bombs in
Well,
general.
that's good. That's actually kind of comforting that you can actually.
It's very reassuring.
One.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because the idea of someone dropping a nuclear bomb on your property, would be frightening, especially if you live in an apartment. We don't have room for this thing. So, point I'm trying to make is that all the time we were watching movies that we look back fondly as more like of an innocent period.
Like to kick his ass just once.
When you think about those times, there was a political parallel that was actually extraordinarily serious. Beyond just the Cold War, we had Iran-Contra. There was a myriad of things. That the rise in China, at that time was entirely militaristic before even though Nixon had overseen the opening of China and all that, and we were supposed to be normalizing, most of it was militaristic up till the mid to late 80s. If you'll recall, Japan was supposed to wipe out the United States' auto industry and our manufacturing. If you remember that, remember
Sure.
Gung Ho? Remember the movie Gung Ho, which was ironically,
it's Michael Keaton, right?
I love that movie, but let me tell you something. As much I hate that title as much as I hate Jackie Chan being in The Karate Kid, because boy, if you could say anything about the Germans, they make the best pizza in the world, and if you ever go to Italy, you have to try the Wiener Schnitzel.
Even my wife, she picked up on the fact that Jackie Chan and Karate Kid should not mix.
Yeah. Karate, for those that you don't know, comes from karate, which means empty hand in Japanese. It is a Japanese fighting art. It is one of the 5 families of their martial arts under Budo or Bushido, depending on how you want to trace the physical fighting styles of Japan. But primarily, let's understand, and the Japanese, the Chinese, not particularly friendly for a very long time. There's usually some level of riots in the streets whenever the new Japanese textbooks come out, because they tend to mention Nanjing like they bumped into somebody at the grocery store, and then something else happened, which is like the Germans going, we had a little kerfuffle with the Jews, and then we moved on, right? It's that level. Imagine, right? The furor, except in, of course, I guess, certain MAGA circles these days, whatever. That said, I expect, Netflix, Hollywood, blah, blah. I was looking at the things that are kind of showing up on television, and we have pegged the needle on escapism. I would argue that shows like White Lotus and Severance, which are very popular right now, are so obtusely escapist that they have almost no tether to reality at all.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I think, is a sign of like how much even more extreme it is. There's one thing to do like kind of silly rom-com-ish stuff to distract people, or sitcoms or whatever, that like, let's tap dance around the normalcy of it and just kind of give people a break. But like the shows that are catching up are so off the, they're off the scale, as far as they don't even have any attachment to the reality you would have, in normal times. Like they're almost art pieces. that they're meant to be confusing just for their distracting value.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be distracted from. Now, the problem is this eats into Donald Trump's methodology because his entire process, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what I'm leading to, is that 80% of what is being done in the White House is distraction. The executive order show, dog and pony show yesterday.
Because he can't do anything to the Department of Education on his own.
No, he cannot. No, he can. And as a matter of fact, most of the funding, he says he wants to move under the purview of other departments, which means the distraction isn't for us. And this is my point. The distraction is not distracting Democrats so we can follow the laser pointer and miss the real crime he's got going on, because he's like such a lunkhead that he does everything out in the open anyways. The distraction is for MAGA. The distraction you're seeing from the White House about the dismantling of the Department of Education and those kind of things and the release of the JFK files and all that stuff, that's not for us. That's not for the Harris voters who are saying, I told you so. It's not for the rest of the electorate that doesn't, low information voters. It's for MAGA, who's increasingly getting mad that there are not busloads and plane loads of illegal immigrants being swept up and flown away, that there's, to take their mind off the fact that flight that everyone's paying attention to only had 100 people on it. You don't make a dent in this illusion of 25 million people that are supposedly in the country illegally with a flight with 100 people on it. So again, the distraction, the laser pointer, the shiny object that he's putting up there is not for Democrats. It's not for independents even. It's for the increasingly enraged maggots who are watching the price of groceries go up, who are seeing the wholesale price of eggs go up or go down while the cost of eggs at the grocery are going up. Why would that be? You want to know why it is? You want to know why the cost of wholesale eggs is going down while the cost of eggs at the grocery is going up? I can't wait to tell you. Let's take a break. And when we come back, Johnny Million, I want to see if you can figure it out on your own. It's kind of beautiful.
Okay,
it's kind of
right.
it's so America first. That's all I'm going to say in air quotes.
Oh. Awesome.
It's fantastic. I learned it from Maria Bartiromo, and that's saying a lot. We'll be back.
Oh.
Oh my God, by the way, did you see, hi chat room, by the way, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, patreon.com/HalSparks, and super chats always welcome, and all the other things I'm supposed to say. I haven't said it the last few days because I've been so busy trying to talk through my sniffles that and I was off for a week. So yeah, obviously, skipping dessert.
What were you about to say though?
Did you watch the all hands on deck Elon Musk or any of it with the Tesla employees?
No.
Okay, so I heard there was going to be this meeting, and I'll see if I can find it because it's brutal. My kid was watching it with me, and like I put it on I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they filmed it. What kind of an idiot? And by God, it's. It's
20
painful.
seconds, gents.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I'll show you this.
Back.
Jesus. He's trying to convince everybody it's going to be okay. So the whole thing is Elon Musk trying to. Segment after next, I'm going to play a little bit of it. I want to
Welcome back to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Okay, so Johnny Million, why would the wholesale price of eggs go down, but the price of eggs at the grocery store either stay the same or go up? Why would that be the case? Dum 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 dum.
Supply chain?
Dum. This is the closest thing I could do to the Jeopardy theme song. I don't know.
I kind of jumped the gun on it, but like...
Would you like to call a friend? Would you like to try another briefcase? Would you like to stand on another square? Okay, go ahead.
I just said supply chain, thinking it's going to take a long time for the wholesale price in the background to actually make it to consumers.
It's even better than that. And you're right. You're right. It will take a time and that's exactly what's happening. The reason why prices will come down a little bit and why they've come down at groceries a touch is because of the chickens that have grown to the age where they can now produce eggs from the cull that happened under the Biden administration to stop avian flu. And that's why the cases, got limited and that them doing the real job of killing this. Okay. But then when in the United States, when you buy eggs from a foreign country, when the U.S. buys eggs from another country, they don't go to your regular grocery store. Those eggs don't go to the grocery store. You don't go to the grocery store and find product of Turkey on eggs at the grocery store, right? Because consumers will not buy them. Consumers will not buy eggs that have been on a boat for a week, even if they've been refrigerated. But restaurants and food processing companies and companies that make cornflakes or whatever and need an emulsifier and use eggs for that, which is where most of the eggs that are consumed go. They go to wholesale usage in all kinds of foodstuffs and restaurants. Right? That was one of the reasons why egg prices went through the roof right after COVID, was because the supply was down and the demand was high from restaurants, because you and we don't have a menu in the morning unless you're really weird. I don't know how the Million household works. Do you walk up to Miss Million every morning and go, "This is our morning selections right now, our specials today"?
I do, yeah. There's a lot of cardboard in this house.
Yeah. Is that what you do? You scribble it on some cardboard, like
cardboard, yeah.
Will egg for food. Okay, so so when eggs are bought from another country, whether, by the way, it's Mexico or Canada, occasionally, it's when the supply is low. They go to everybody who has eggs on the menu, where they don't have an option. If you go to a restaurant and eggs are on the menu and they suddenly don't have eggs, Denny's goes out of business because it's a breakfast place, right? Those kind of things they've got to have eggs. So they will start to pay a higher price for it, and they won't pass the cost on to the consumer until it becomes, something over the course of a corporate year or two that the cost catches up to them. So they will they'll eat the cost of it for a little while, unlike how a grocery store will, which will just kind of pass along the cost right away, because it's a 1-to-1. Like, we brought them here, you picked them up, you pay us for having them here, and goodbye. And so we get our 2 or 5%, whatever it is. But the jack up in price came from food processors who need to make processed food and need eggs for that process, or they need it because it's on the menu. Restaurants all the McDonald's, every Starbucks, they've got egg bites, they've got egg sandwiches, they've got to have that. Okay, so they have to rush to the front of it. So that's what drives the price of eggs up in that big balloon of egg prices, especially when H5N1 or something like it happens. Then what the Trump administration did, instead of solving the H5N1 system, they just started buying your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen, subsidizing the purchasing of eggs from Turkey and South Korea, among other places. And those eggs enter the wholesale market. And they are used in egg bites, and they are used in McDonald's egg sandwiches and that kind of stuff, but they don't affect the price of the eggs in the United States that go to the actual grocery store. Because the shipment point between, and I'm, again, huge generalization for, how eggs are tracked. And I'm sure you could find some sort of foreign grocery store where they have, like, I can get my, like, Korean thin noodles or something like that, or you go there to get certain spices up, or they might have eggs from another place because they'll get duck eggs or quail eggs or whatever. And sure, those will make market, right? Those will be eggs from Turkey or 1,000-year eggs from China that are actually, the gelatinous eggs, the preserved eggs. I don't know if you've ever had those. Mm-hmm. They're lovely. They look like brown glass.
No, I've seen those. It seems terrifying.
Yeah, I enjoy them. I really love tea eggs. You ever had tea eggs? So it's hard boiled. I'm going to make everybody hungry. It's a Chinese dish that has, among other things, in this broth, licorice and a couple of other things. And it seems weird, anise and other stuff and spices. And it's like, it makes a tea like dark liquid. And you boil eggs in it. And then halfway through, you take them out and you crack the egg and you put it back in. And the tea and the spices seep into the egg in these little like lines in the cracks. And so when you peel the egg, it looks like the surface of a, of a moon of, it looks like Europa, it looks like we found water on the moon, right? It has all these like spirally marks on it. It's beautiful. It's like almost like fractals, but they're delicious and I enjoy them and I always have. And that's one of my favorite Chinese dishes. And that's one of the few situations where you might see a preserved egg or something come from someplace else. So Donald Trump, let's be clear. His solution to the cost of eggs in the United States is to use tax dollars to subsidize the purchase of eggs from foreign countries. Thereby,
I love it. That's where I want my taxes go. Wait a second.
Hold on a minute.
Hang on.
Right. And this is now the only place I heard about this was that the agricultural, they have to list this stuff. They have to list that these things are coming in because it's obviously now I guess Turkey and South Korea have egg leverage on us in any trade disputes. We'd have, hey, do you want the eggs to keep coming? You got to give us a little something back. You got to give us a break on the tariffs you're using on the rest of Europe or whatever you're going to do, right? That now we're in that position with Turkey of all people, which is whatever. But the point is that this came up on Maria Bartiromo's show in kind of a throwaway conversation with the ag secretary, but nobody else is talking about this. Nobody else is talking about the fact that the Trump solution to the egg problem is importing eggs from foreign countries. We don't need anybody in the rest of the world. We don't need our allies. We don't need Canada. We don't need dairy from anywhere else. We got our own. We've got more than enough. We can blah, 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 and we can leverage that as tariff strength against it. Meanwhile, totally under the table, and probably every, maggot ignoramus out there is unaware of the fact, seemingly, that that's how he's solving the problem. He's not curing H5N1 in the United States. He's not setting up a system, where they can clean it up. And do you know what his other solution is, Johnny Million? And this is such the cherry on top of this turd cake that he is serving to the maggots. What's the other solution? What do you think? Think of all of things. Think of disease and MAGA, and think of in the realm of diseases and things, what they fear often more than the disease itself.
The bleach that they're going to have to inject into their bodies?
No, they love that stuff. I've got a tube of horse paste, sour apple flavored ivermectin when I bought it in a bin myself. It goes in. They call it the jab. That gives you a hint. Really? The jab? Vaccines. That's right. So what is the Trump world solution? In the world of organic eggs, I don't want any antibiotics. I don't want vaccines anymore. Something we had trended towards, and where the Biden administration and other administrations, the point was, why do we cull these chickens? Because we don't want we want organic chickens. We want, these chickens to have not be vaccinated, not have hormones, not have all these things. And to do that, if they do get sick, you just got to get rid of them. You've got to cull them, right? And now the Trump administration's solution, we're going to start vaccinating these chickens. Do you think MAGA knows that they're, and they're all their chest beating about eating eggs and how important they are as a staple, that they know that the Trump administration solution is to buy foreign eggs to lower the wholesale price so that corporations don't have to raise their prices, so you'll continue to eat out instead of cook at home. And at home, their solution is a chicken jab. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's so perfect as to be incredibly stupid. We'll be back right after this.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate.
We'll be back.
The Pentaverate.
Oh, okay. Real quick, let me see if I can cue this up real quick.
Like, I mean, anyway, some of the finest people in the world work at Tesla, designing and manufacturing our incredible products. So my thanks to you for everything you're doing. Well done. So,
Hold on,
so we're going to go through just a list of the incredible achievements of the Tesla team.
Hold on.
We've now produced over 7 million vehicles. 7 million. In our first year of production, we produced just over 20 vehicles. And I thought, well, maybe we might one day be able to do 10 or 20 a week instead of 10 or 20 a year. And the way things are tracking right now, we will actually have made over 10 million vehicles next year. So we'll pass the 10 million vehicle cumulative. That's a lot of cars, man. That's a lot of cars.
No, no, it really isn't.
15 seconds, gents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That went on for an hour.
Well, of just him reading stats of a car manufacturer?
Yeah, they just do a bunch of, he's trying to sell everybody on.
You're locked into the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Okay, so I'm going to show a bit of this, and I'm going to kind of do a needle drop on this. So if you've been following the Tesla stock price, I'm
going to stop you right here, Hal. He's good looking.
Don't lust after Elon Musk on my show, Mr. Man. Yes. Yeah. No,
Look, we're wearing the same kind of jacket.
Yep. Drapey, bell-shaped.
I've been looking at his hair plugs. I'm going to invest in those kind of hair plugs.
They're it's interesting. You'd think they'd be the finest kind in the world.
You'd think.
This is before what he got his after, I think, what remember Bill Burr's bit about hair plugs where he's like, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago. It's like, no, you don't. I mean, back when they were stapling ant legs to everybody's head in clusters, right?
You don't wish you'd done it 10 years
no,
ago.
you don't. Yeah. Right. They're good at it now. It's like facelifts. Everybody's an and they're just experimenting on people until they get it right. Like, wait a little while. Let everybody else jump in front of that bus. But for those that, when a company is doing well, and I'm going to quiz Johnny Million all during the show this weekend because I've missed him so much. Johnny Million, when your company is doing great, do you have to call an all hands on deck meeting? Sorry, my laughter is giving away the answer, I think.
No, not usually. No. Like, there's like the company I work for. There's like quarterly, touchstones where we all show up and look into the stats and everything.
Yeah, but do they call it an all hands meeting?
No, not usually.
Okay, are you familiar with the phrase all hands on deck? And that it oftentimes precedes a ship sinking or being fired upon with a torpedo or pirates trying to take it.
Why did he record that?
Oh, well, that was the thing. Because so I had heard that he was that Elon Musk, for those of you who don't know, is the dumbest CEO besides Donald Trump to ever live. And the proof that we have of this is that his primary audience always has been that he makes electric cars and he's environmentally conscious. And we want to make a sustainable future for everyone, that blah, 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 which is these are very popular talking points with Democrats and quote unquote the left, but on the right, quote unquote, and in MAGA town, it's considered borderline communism and transhumanism, claptrap, and anti-Christian, and mark of the beast, and whatever panic phrase you can come up with.
Yeah.
And over the course of his transformation back into his real self, let's be honest, he's a South African Nepo baby, and his family is still grinding over the fact that America had a big part in undoing apartheid. And during the 80s, when we all cared about things, if you'll
Mhm.
recall. He's there. His family is still mad about this because that's how they lost their fortunes. And so, what's their
Not because
answer?
they
A line.
couldn't just take advantage of humans anymore.
Okay, wait, no, but I'm going to spitball real quick about how you would get your revenge if you were mad about this. Maybe, just maybe, you would you'd build your biggest plant in China, you'd get all your aluminum from Russia, and you'd run all your companies on government contracts to get you into the government so that you could dismantle it from the inside and show them who's boss. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, that, like, if you were really a scumbag Nazi South African who was still mad about the racial imbalance being undone, right? That might be one of the ways you get back. And I have no evidence that this is what's actually happening. But if I was just off the top of my head, if I was that mad and I was that racist and I had that big of an axe to grind, that might be how I do it. It would take a few years, but hey, I've got all this blood and emerald money in theory that I could use to make this happen. And that all I had to do was I don't know, pull a Tulsi, pretend to be a Democrat and weasel your way in and know that the right wing loves people who've turned on their own side. So you'll probably, as a woman, you'll never get anywhere in the Republican Party by going through the normal means. But if you show up and go, I used to be for them, and they consider you a turncoat, and you're like, now you work for us, they can use you as proof that you've switched sides and stuff. So you automatically get, I'm just spitballing again. I have no idea. All right. So this is, look, if you have it all hands on deck, what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to remind people where they work, why we're doing this. Come on. We're in this together. Gung ho. We are fighting to keep this company together. Absolutely. Somewhere between Glengarry, Glen Ross, always be closing, and the speech in Stripes, or Animal House. This is what you need. You need somebody, you need the boss to show up. Maybe he's not there all the time. Maybe he's up in his office. He's really running the company, but you lose track of that when you work on the floor and in the company, if there is a floor or an actual company. And you need him to come down to the floor and go, hey guys, I'm with you. And we're all in this together. And you need that magic. And here's a needle drop on it.
Which will make it, I think, probably top 5 in the world in training centers. So.
Just a needle drop.
We're also continuing to make progress on our Dojo training supercomputer. So we've got Dojo 1 active now in Gigafactory, New York, and in Palo Alto, and it is actively working. It's actually taking load on it's doing.
I feel better. I don't know about you, Johnny Million, but if I was a Tesla investor,
I've been taking load this whole time.
By the way, no citation needed. I would like to say, for the record, young man.
Captain's log.
All right. Again, I think we've earned the distraction in these crazy times.
What is his accent? What is he saying?
He's South African by way of Silicon Valley. So he's, talking to investors everywhere. And he allegedly speaks Russian, and his English isn't improving. It's kind of getting dumber all the time, which is odd, largely because insofar ketamine, insofar as I've heard, insofar as I know, if you track his activity all day long, he's on Call of Duty or playing Diablo all day and tweeting. So he's got like Grok open and he's saying, tweet this. And he just says stuff, or he's responding to things if they come back, verbally all day. How do you run this idea that he's running 6 companies? The only way these companies get run is if he leaves them alone, if he just stays away. Honestly, the best thing he can do for all of his companies.
This is what I try to tell Mrs. Million all the time. Look. If
You
I'm not
can't.
involved in these household items, I see them going better.
Right. Yes. If you need a turd polisher, I'm your man. But until that time happens, it's probably best if I'm not around. The the overall, I mean, the and quite obvious situation is that Tesla is isn't worth anywhere near what the Tesla fanboys think it's going to be. It is not the company of the future. It is not the company that owns X, by the way,
I
or
don't see it
owns
improving.
no. And the CEO has spent the last year, especially. I mean, you could argue even before that, in the lead up to buying Twitter and what he was like before that. So maybe the better part of a couple of years, has spent 2 years alienating his primary customer base, and financially supporting more than any other human on the planet, and spent more in this cycle than any other person in an election cycle anywhere that we know of worldwide, to elect someone who is undoing the EPA and getting rid of electric car standards and all this stuff, mainly out of some sort of weird weed and ketamine paranoia that he has inflicted on himself about allegedly free speech, or some, or perhaps just the fear of rise in taxation, that the cost of the Harris administration on his taxes would have been, catastrophic, especially because, just like Trump, he's not worth anywhere near the money he says. Is he worth a ridiculous amount of money by any normal human standards? Of course he is. But he's leveraged on that money more than he actually has fluid cash, just like Trump. And this is a turning point for this company. And there will be, there are day traders and other people who are bump riding that stock and try to pump and dump to get out of it. There are people like Kevin O'Leary saying it's a great company. And the reason they're saying it's a great company is that so that people will see that on Fox Business News and either not bail out on the stock continuing its decline, or buy a little bit of it so that the price goes slightly up, so Kevin O'Leary can sell his a little chunk at a time to get out of that stock before it craters entirely, so he doesn't lose every penny he's invested in it, on the backs of regular investors. That is this, because he goes on in this All Hands, which I unfortunately watched the entire thing, to talk about where the company is going. What's the company really about? And what's the company really about is, and I'll show it on the screen for those who are watching at infotainmentwars.com or on the Facebook page. It's about this little guy, Optimus, the Tesla robot that originally, when we first saw it, was a person in a costume, a human being in a giant sock.
Needed the work.
I'll have you know it was 5'8", so the chances of it being me were higher. But I think 5'8", 5'9", I don't know what. Anyways, and the next time you saw it, it was only the upper body. And the next time you saw it, oh my God, the huge unveil on the back lot of a movie studio in Hollywood, which should tell you something about the unveiling, that they're doing it on a movie set. You get how that works? That means all the buildings are fake. That means you can set up control centers to run animatronics behind them, and it still looks like a regular city street, dum-dum. So in this robot is still 5 generations behind the Figure 1, which is the OpenAI one, and that's a company that's only been in existence 18 months. They're already on Figure 2, plus their Helix control center that allows them to work in tandem. Their robots work together already, doing multiple tasks. Digit,
Helix?
which is yes, right. Digit, which is a robot that is already working in Amazon fulfillment facilities in North Carolina and in Georgia. These are already functional robots in production level that are going out. And what's the screen? I don't know if, Johnny, if you can see this, what it says on the screen.
I'm not sure what it's doing.
in the opening shot, he's doing yoga. And by the way, there's a guy doing yoga and it's dressed up. It says Optimus is going into pilot production this year. Think about that phrase. There are already robots in production, humanoid robots in production that are already working on factory floors as test cases to be used. And then the idea is that those robots are going to build more robots and build more robots and stuff. And what does Elon Musk, super genius, have to show for it? At his all hands on deck, he's got his unfinished exposed legs, exposed arms robot demo. And the phrase on the screen says Optimus is going into pilot production this year. I guess they got till December 31st to go into pilot production. Understand and what's the purpose of it overall? What's the purpose of Optimus? To eliminate human beings in manufacturing. See, the train of Optimus and robots has left the station, and the train of Donald Trump wanting to bring back manufacturing jobs to the United States. And these two trains are on a collision course, kids.
Well, I can tell they're very like-minded, both Donald Trump and...
they're on the same stupid page in the coloring book, and they're both using the same frozen turd to color in the picture. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. My God. Like,
so is that unfinished, or is this just like showing off the robot's quads?
He's showing off the robot's quad. I don't know that here's let's see if I can show you. This is what it's supposed to look like relatively finished. Although this is the white.
I know what that is. You can tell.
Taking poop. It's why they play music in aerobics class.
I kind of, I'll squat down a little and be like,
it just ran a marathon. And it's got runner's dump. I don't know why it's in a gym. That's really stupid, but whatever. It'll even exercise for you, I guess.
Cool.
But this is the 3D printed outer white frame. The one they want to sell is silver. I don't even know if they have. Yeah, nope, that's the silver. Hold on, so yeah, this is what they had walk out after they had the suit. This is the one that walks around the factory, but doesn't do anything. And this is it practicing sorting with a guy off camera with gloves on and a VR helmet going like this because he's actually running the arms. Because that's how you train these things, which is fine. That's not that's not a crucial aspect of this. And hold on.
You're locked into the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah. So, needless to say, if I may, and by the way, if you're watching on the live stream, welcome to the show. There's a ton of you here. And I also want to thank the maggots and trolls that show up now. We're getting more of them, which is really lovely, because they help us in the algorithm in a way that our regular viewers don't. I want to remind everybody that when
shine.
Yeah, right. That when trolls, and this is kind of something that I don't think people kind of grasp, and this is also for our side, if you go over and kind of punk around in other people's chats, you're a real person. Most of the, Newsmax's chat and Trump's own chat are full of bots. And if you go over there, it knows you're a real person, and it goes, oh my goodness, there's a real person is watching, and that raises their ad rev, and it raises their algorithm points, whatever they get them. And then a lot of times on YouTube or other channels, in the suggested viewing thing, that's what moves you up into the live now stuff, right? And so by doing that, when they're just viewing, it puts you up into the live now stuff, which is nice. Once they start writing something, it's even better because that means we're engaging, and that means they have to respond. You know what I'm saying? And so then the algorithm goes, oh my goodness. They're not only just staring, but they're actually at the keyboard, which means good time for an ad, right? So that's it's just true. So anyways, I want to thank them for being here. I would argue that try to keep your bigoted and I guess, like more empathetic language. Is that how we say it? To a minimum, But that said, welcome aboard. It's nice to have you here.
You know that Elon is way into empathy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Well,
He says
here's
it's the
the,
biggest weakness of society, and then he wants empathy when people are burning up his cars in protest.
well, my God, Johnny Million, are you psychic? Is that what it
I
is?
don't understand hypocrisy.
Right. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's a Tesla collision center not far from our house, and you can see it over the wall down the
You
street
sent me the
from our
video
place.
directly.
Right. Well, it ended up all over Fox this week, and
Yeah, I
it was
saw it
on
before it was
Kimmel.
on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, Kimmel had it
And
too?
and so Fox News paid me money this week. They would have to. I
I was
haven't
about to
gotten any
ask
yet.
if they give you money for that.
No. There are these licensing companies that contact you whenever they see you've posted a video. They're like, "Hey, we'll spread it around if you want to." And so I gave them,
Sort
footage
of like
that I had.
Barstool Sports get a hold of you?
Sorry, yeah, sort of. And anyways, so that it played everywhere. Like it
Memes
was all
are.
over the place. So at some point, I suppose it's probably a 30 or 90-day cycle. But I'll get $18 in my PayPal or something like that. I don't know how it works, but at the very least, we have I guess let's just start with, don't set fire to cars or dealerships or throw incendiary devices or projectiles of any sort at anything. That's not protest. That's violence. Against it 100%. I'm just saying that. Let's start there. Because here's my problem overall. Once that starts, in this case, you give, and I'm speaking in the abstract. You understand this, Johnny Million. I'm talking off the top of my head. This is not something we have evidence of. This is just, I'm just spitballing, as it were. But let's just say you were a car manufacturer and your stock was tanking like crazy, and you had a lot of cars you couldn't sell and a lot of used cars that were rotting on lots, and they were insured because the entire lot is insured. And then somebody attacks one of your dealerships in Oregon or something like that, and you could go, wait a second. Not only could I gain sympathy from the people in the administration around me if I attack my own dealerships, but I could destroy my own equipment, get the insurance money, not make more cars with that insurance money, and use it to shore up the stock price.
Yeah,
I mean,
kind of
again,
thought of that way after the fact.
Just spitballing, is that anybody who attacks a Tesla dealership, not only is it morally reprehensible to set fires, because again, I believe personally arson should be treated as attempted murder because it is the wanton endangerment of other people's lives, especially in dry climates. We're here in Las Vegas, in California, places like that. If the fire could spread because the ground is dry and somebody dies, it's your fault. I don't care how much you thought you were resisting or doing something. And the other thing you do is you allow somebody like him to use your resistance, quote unquote, as cover to bail himself out financially. Don't give the bastards the satisfaction, would be my argument in this case. Not only is it morally bad, but it's also incredibly stupid. And you have to understand the effects that, because these people, the Trumps and the Musks of the world, are, if they have any skill at all, it's to take advantage of people's empathy or caring and pretend. That whole that whole empathy thing he talks about isn't because he doesn't have, it isn't about him thinking the rest of the world doesn't have empathy. As a matter of fact, he wishes it was more contagious, because if you look at their policies, there is a direct parallel between the eugenics concepts of Henry Kissinger and the useless eater concept and culling Medicare, Medicaid, letting impoverished areas just die under their own weight, cut education funding, the Department of Education. Never mind the fact that the majority of what it does is Pell Grants and stuff like that. It also pays for special education funding and underprivileged funding, Well, it should come as no shock to anyone, no surprise or shock anyone that in the United States of America, rural areas make up the vast majority of the spending for special needs students and underprivileged poor people. Appalachia alone has more poor people in it than the entirety of inner city black neighborhoods that these people seem to focus on as where they think this funding is going. And the cities that these neighborhoods are in a lot of cases, at least have backup funds in the case of Chicago or Los Angeles or Seattle or places like that, where if they do have federal funding going away, they have the tax base to make up for it. And the people in those areas understand that. California voters always, every time it's on the ballot, add more money to education in their own internal tax base. Same with New York. Oklahoma, not so much. Mississippi, not so much. Louisiana, nope. And one of the things that Trump seems to accidentally stumble on every time he brings up this, Norway's way ahead of us and China's way ahead of us, which is also baloney, by the way, but whatever, that they're ahead of us in education and we're 40th or whatever. If you got rid of the red states, we're in the top 5. If you get rid of just 5 of the red states, we're in the top 20. We cut off, we move halfway up the scale with just the elimination of, I think, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, West Virginia, and like one other. We went through this on my show. Like we looked at state, and here's the other one, and this is going to be the big shocker. You know, that whole thing, we spend more money per student than any other country in the world. That's because our spending is based on the cost of living in the area. The taxes that come from real estate also are parallel to the cost of goods and services in the same neighborhood. So a school in a rich neighborhood has to pay more for stuff because the quality of life is higher. And it should come as no shock to anyone. No surprise. Why don't I keep flip-flopping that? It's annoying me. It's because of the Kevin O'Leary thing. It's contagious. It should come as no surprise to anyone that the more you spend on a student, the better they do. And that the states with the highest spending on students, which far outpaces the Midwest and the South, have the best outcomes. They're the ones that go to the most elite schools. Those are the ones that go to Yale and all those other places. And the areas where they spend the least have the lowest test scores. Period. It's not even close. Super obvious. And there's one exception.
Don't get me started on those tests. They're rigged.
Right. Well, if we didn't test all these students, we wouldn't know how dumb they are. That's the Trump COVID education plan. But on top of this, there's one exception that I was able to find, and that's New Mexico. And they, at a state level, they spend less than other states, and they have really good outcomes. A, very few people in the state, and B, a lot of federal money. A lot of federal money. So that should be.
They're supporting all the aliens.
And well, that's true. Yeah, it's all the Roswell money. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. He's got a live stream, It's Johnny Million. We have a, there we go. Oh, the video on Midas Touch, Luke Beasley, and others on YouTube? Nice. Kind of tested Trump take? That's a good question.
10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that?
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused.
Yeah, right.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Yep. So you live in Roswell. If we were making money, we would know, right? The tests are overrated. Well, the federal tests are higher than the federal tests are higher, and the proficiency standards are higher than the state tests. That's why Trump wants them lowered. To use an analogy the right would get, this is the maggot equivalent of we should just teach Ebonics. Remember that? Remember the whole thing about like, there was this odd, bizarre movement. Black kids they just can't pronounce things right. It's just a thing. And so therefore we should just teach them to, by the way, to speak arguably Scottish slang, because that's where that South stuff comes from. There's an old Scottish song called like Weeby Ubi Ibe, which was making fun of Scottish people who can't shed the Weeby Ubi Ibe way of speaking. And that's where that language comes from. So the idea that black people can't manage to speak quote unquote proper English like everybody else. So we've got to curtail the system to them, which is, again, I think Bush called it the soft racism of low expectations or whatever. That specifically is the equivalent of the federal tests are too high. If we just let Kansas test at Kansas rates, our kids would be way smarter, because Kansas's idea of smart is way different than New York's idea of smart. The math on the farm is way simpler than the math in Massachusetts. That's really what it is. It's redneck Ebonics. If you were going to use that to push back on their stuff, they would understand that as an analogy. Thank you, Carl. The soft bigotry of low expectation. The cushioning, the My Pillow bigotry of low expectations. Do they still use eggs to develop flu vaccines? Yeah, but not en masse. And I think we're moving towards mRNA, which is, again, the irony. The growth in mRNA vaccines right now under the Trump administrations is going to balloon, and they're going to pretend it isn't. Mm-hmm.
We're back in 15.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I don't know if you saw the Carville came out and went, there is a P tape. That they got a P tape on them as the equivalent.
Oh my God.
You're listening to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
It's a tough time for people on our side of the aisle in many ways. And by the way, Phil isn't with us. He's safe and he's fine. He has another obligation this week, and it was just a timing thing, so I don't want anybody to worry. But so you're just stuck with me and Johnny. It's like an old-fashioned show. It's like pre-Ukraine war stuff, and we will talk about what's happening there as well. But there's a problem that I think people on our side of the aisle are having as far as describing what's going on and articulating frankly, just trying to find a dozen ways to say I told you so. We need an I told you so thesaurus on our side of the aisle.
There's got to be other ways to say it.
Right. And it almost needs to become, a hand gesture or something besides the middle finger. There needs to be like one of those.
The shrug only goes so far, or like you can get. I feel like there's a deep well of Yiddish sayings that are
yeah. It's
come on, Chet. What's I told you so?
In Yiddish, right? No, like the many ways that you could say "I told you so." The ring finger. You think the ring finger should be? Well, I mean, you could do the shocker and have it have a second meaning. You know what I mean?
You mean like this?
Oh my God! Yeah, things aren't going well. Shocker. Yeah, I think it works. I think the ironic use of the shocker.
I'm really shocked.
Yeah, right. Totally Shocker. I know. I think we stumbled onto something. That
I think we
said,
have.
mhm.
Have you ever seen
That
those,
said,
like, the big
oh
sporty,
dear.
like, we're number one things, but they're set to be like the shocker? Oh, God, you've got one? Oh, no.
No, I just think that at some point we're going to need something that just conveys the message in a way that people can understand that we're not the bad guys here. We're trying to be helpful, but we don't know how to convey all right. This is so stupid. For those sitting at home, I have a giant middle finger mask that I found that was going to be a gift for my girlfriend's son. I don't even want to explain. He's 22. It's okay. But there, like at a certain point, I talked to Major Ojeda, by the way, Richard Ojeda for NC, I think .com is his website. He's running for Congress in North Carolina, so everybody who
I'm
can't
sorry,
help
Hal.
should
The
help.
chat is vacillating between, oh my God, why do you have that? And I need one right now.
Well, I will tell you that I had to stuff a towel into the finger because it just looked like I was wearing a fist because it wouldn't sit upright. So I had to take
I had to
design
stuff
flaw.
a towel into it so it would stay rigid.
Yeah, I needed middle finger mask ED medication. So, anyways, and I'll show you why I bring this up. Besides the obvious, and that is, if we look at this right here on the, and I'm showing it on the live stream, infotainmentwars.com. We don't need the documents. We got everything memorized. Diverging, and I love the sort of flaccid, in reference to our previous conversation, the flaccid economic language around this stuff in an attempt to pretend that it's that things are this is in the realm of normalcy. Diverging, that's a great word. U.S. economic data begs the question: is a slowdown coming? First of all, a slowdown is
versus denial.
Say again.
Yeah, so like it's actual news versus denial.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
Well,
diverging information.
right. I think the mix that would be the cross the streams of media, cross the streams. The diverging U.S. economy data, which is, by the way, where you get artificial support or, Trump touting his like trillions that are coming in over the next 10 years or 5 years or whatever, and maybe and whatever, again, all of the announcements about the investments that Trump is making either started under Biden or are eventually kind of talks that are akin to his, our great healthcare plan is coming out in 2 weeks. By the way, you notice that whole talking point has just vanished. There is he's not even bringing up the illusion that at some point they're going to come up with a good healthcare plan. That's just gone.
It's
And he
not
just
even 2
settled
weeks away.
Yeah, he either knows he can't even fight the ACA, or every time he brings it up, it reminds people that it's been longer than 2 weeks. Same way with the Ukraine-Russia negotiations. It's clearly been over 24 hours since the election and since the inauguration and since his phone call with both of them. So obvious crap. But this diverging U.S. economy data begs the question: is a slowdown coming? But you want real evidence? This is from Axios. This is an article that says the snacking recession: why Americans are buying fewer treats. Americans are snacking less. And that's a problem for the packaged food industry. Why it matters. After years of inflation, consumers are.
I'm trying to help.
I know you're carrying far more than your burden in this fight to save snacks. Americans are snacking less, which, by the way, some would even refer to this as the Ozempic as a side effect or a contraindication of Ozempic, right? Which is true because it is like so many people are now on it that it is the pharmaceutical industry against the processed food industry. There's a fight happening corporate wise, and But in the middle of this also, General Mills on Wednesday became the latest food giant to sound the alarm about the CEO called a slowdown in snacking. The company's net sales fell 5% in the latest quarter, with U.S. snack sales down mid-single digits. Our view is that a lot of this has to do with consumer confidence. This isn't health. This isn't, even the Ozempic factor. This is beyond that.
Those are just the first things that people don't buy.
Right.
Like, that's the first expendable income thing where I'm like, I don't need that.
Exactly. And especially if you're, if it's families, you're going to cut down on your useless calories. And that, when people start doing that, that's a canary in the coal mine economically. And that would be one of those diverging U.S. data points in that regard, just so you know. Surveys of the sentiment among households and businesses are warning of a marked slowdown ahead due to President Donald Trump's trade policies. They're not even guessing it. Possibly, maybe, that consumer confidence is directly tied to Trump's idiotic messing around with this back and forth, ill-advised, poorly planned, and I would say poorly executed, but we don't even know how it's actually executed because he turns it on and off. It's just like a threat period. But the idea is the entirety of this presidency, and especially the Musk part, seems to be based on trust me, bro, which is, by the way, what makes me think that this has more to do with President Musk than it has to do with President Trump. One of the things we saw as a change in conversation when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail last year was in August, late August. I covered one of his very first rally where Musk showed up, where he came out and, jumped up in the air and all that kind of stuff. There were a couple of those where he showed up. And the first one he showed up, apparently Musk flew there on his plane and Trump had this audience of one conversation with Musk the entire time. And it was right at that rally when he started really throwing up this talking point of fast racehorses make fast racehorses, and you can't save everybody. And this is sort of tacit Silicon Valley eugenics talking points that you hear from Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. Stuff that if any president, Democrat or Republican, had said it previously, the Alex Joneses of the world would be on air, like head on fire, yelling nonstop about it, right? Oh my God, there's a guy in there who's talking about there's just, too many people that are unproductive, that are working but not doing anything. And they're all going to need Social Security and Medicare too soon. And we're going to need, the resources they take up without producing anything are drag on the economy. And P.S., I want to chip everyone's brain. Those two talking points alone were almost the baseline of the right-wing belief system that led up to QAnon and Alex Jones in that crowd. And by the way, Johnny, if you have any questions that they farmed during this part, we can throw those in as well. And somebody was just asking again, Phil is not with us this week because he has a previous appointment. He had a meeting roundtable, I think, with some journalists and other people over there that they were having today. So, and he's at a different time zone. Yeah, he's helping Elon get rare earth or orths from the Donbass for Trump. But all these things, and I think, by the way, this has to be the talking point. Democrats, you need to start hammering in conversation all of our favorites who are actually going to a mic and saying the cutting things that are annoying Republicans. One of the things you need to keep bringing up is that I thought Republicans, that MAGA and Alex Jones fans used to be against putting chips in everyone's brains. And now the guy who wants to chip 2 billion people is whispering in the president's ear and has access to your Social Security number. That's
Not
enough.
a fan.
Mic drop and go away. That's all you have to do. You know, the guy who, you know, you guys were always clamoring that there was going to be some sort of like MAGA cull. And this would be, if I can put on my tinfoil hat for just one moment.
Oh, please. Does it look like it has a middle finger sticking out the head?
No, it should. I should just wrap a piece of foil on the tip. You know, but it's so disturbing. That let's say you were, and by the way, well, let's take a break because this conspiracy is going to take a little bit of description. It's going to take a little work. You're going to have to work with me on this. After the break, I'm going to describe to you like how a conspiracy would actually work. And it might be happening. We'll be back right after this.
Oh.
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking for this. This is the same. Why do you do this? Why are these? There we go. Go away. No, I don't want to
Not
survey.
going anywhere.
No.
No.
I'm trying to scroll down so that we can see the title of this article. And it always has those like at the top of the page. The banner
And
is so
they
gigantic.
keep going down with you while you're scrolling down.
Oh, it's like it makes it unreadable. That's why
And
I like
it honestly, when I see ads like that, I make a note to never buy
Back in 10
anything from
seconds.
somebody who has an
Right.
invasive ad like that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Excuse me.
Welcome back to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
It was not so long ago, ladies and gentlemen, that in Johnny Million, where I think you and I probably late 90s, early 2000s, might have even tuned in to the silliness that is InfoWars and Alex Jones and all that kind of stuff, or in the same way that you would listen to like Coast to Coast late at night occasionally, you know,
Yeah, I think I tuned in and went, so it is real.
Right. But for those, you know, like Coast to Coast was one of these like UFO, they'd interview people who had been, had seen a UFO or had been on one or had been probed anally and went back for seconds or whatever the thing you had to, whatever. And again, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Or as you would say, an alien. Which is, I think, that's my alien safe word. Let's say, that's how you say, no, thank you. That said, there was a period where...
I mean, when you get probed...
Oh, no.
You know.
Really? I mean, I guess, do you wonder if anybody is like, who believes they're being recurring, a recurring abductee goes, I know they're coming tonight, so I'm eating nothing but chili for 3 days. Right. It's rough. So in watching those, it was kind of charmingly weird and stupid and, and like all conspiracies, it has to have like 20% real story. And then you just build, this like in the way that, barnacles aren't whales. They're just attached to it, but you can't weigh the whale and count the barnacles as part of the weight of the whale. But in the opposite, because in this case, the reality is the barnacle and the conspiracy is the whale, right? That's what they're, and I guess that would make Alex Jones Moby Dick or minus the Moby. But the point is, you'd watch these shows and kind of like, I don't know, shrug them off. But the essence of those things was government conspiracy. They're going to round everybody up and they're going to shut down certain voices right when they're planning their thing. And you guys, we won't be here and they're going to take us off the air and we won't have the reach that we're going to have. So you guys really need to support us so we can stay on the air. And okay, so how did this time out? Did it time out that Alex Jones was off the air in the big, leading up to by the deep state or getting into the installment of Joe Biden as president? If the Illuminati and the cabal or whatever it is during the Trump years were trying to chip away at him, and then they stole the election from Trump, and during that same time they get rid of Alex Jones so that he can't interfere with their great world plan, or did they allow for a ballooning? If the plan works this way, right? Of these, you're right, which I guess would cause another sound effect. But Art Bell, Leslie Arnold says coast to coast. Absolutely. The one, and who's the original host of it? I want to say he was replaced by somebody else. But it's interesting to me that it's right before the Trump administration that Alex Jones, for the most part, goes off the air. So if you were believing that there was this big conspiracy that removes him so he can't tell the truth when the Illuminati, cabal, whatever, slams the door shut and we're all trapped inside. It happened when Trump became president a second time. And it also happened when Trump became president a second time, and his best buddy is this, he puts George Soros's former employee in charge of the Treasury, which again would be a giant red flag on the Alex Jones side of things, right? And Elon Musk, who used to be, quote, friend of the left, right? Is now talking about chipping 1 million people by 2030. And I'll put this up on the screen for the who's at home. Elon Musk predicts 1 million humans will be chipped, will be augmented, it's lovely, by Neuralink by 2030.
In 5 years.
Yeah, in 5 years, 1 million people will have brain chips, followed quickly by, and they will be, I would like to argue, his point is that they will test on people who are disabled, followed by the super elite. These chips will create.
Yeah, actually, they're pretty close.
Yeah, that they will, create. The idea is that Neuralink will link you to AI and all these things and allow you as a human to interface with this super intelligence, and you will be the smartest human being by far on the planet because you will have access to basically this giant on-call data bank all the time. You'll never forget anything.
Not watching Severance?
Right. No, I mean, I think he just.
How many people want a chip in their head after watching Severance?
Right. Yeah. Well, again, it's a great cautionary tale.
Yeah.
But yes, he calls it preparing for a hyper exponential future. Neuralink's journey reflects the broader truth about the world today. The world is changing fast. Musk's prediction of hyper exponential growth is not just a statement about Neuralink. It's called prepare the world for what would be radically different in just a few years. Neuralink isn't just about restoring abilities for a few. It's about reshaping the possibilities for everyone. This is what we used to call transhumanism. That they were against. I think half the time they're against transhumanism because they think that's the broader word for transgender. that I honestly, I think, I swear to God, you know how Trump thought that that people were coming from insane asylums and that's what asylum seekers were coming across the border?
Yeah,
clearly.
So
okay,
I don't think he's cleared that up in his own mind yet.
Not at all. I swear to God, I think he thinks. When he says transgender for everyone, I think what he got that from, because it's such a weird thing, because it's an odd sentence anyways, it makes no sense, but transgender, and the only way it could make sense, I guess, is everybody has to accept transgender people. Dear God, how horrifying, right? You don't have to, but or they're going to make us all transgender, which I don't know how that works, right? But that's where most people would think he gets it from. I think it actually is him not understanding what transhumanism is and thinking that means you want to trans the human race, that we're just going to, for some reason, biologically flip a coin. All the men will become women, all the women will become men, and we're going to force that to happen, which is just bananas. But I have to say, considering how he interprets language in other circumstances, that's what makes the most sense to me. that Donald Trump thinks transhumanism, which is the augmentation of humans and the singularity where AI and humans and technology and humans bind and never unbind. That's what the singularity ultimately is. Everybody has a different definition, but the singularity has to be a point where everything changes past that point. So having your phone and relying on it and going, I feel naked without it, isn't quite that. Right?
Not quite. Not unless you put it in you.
Right, sure. Which again, not here to yuck anybody's yum, and that can't be good for your prostate health.
No,
no. That's
but
in all seriousness, I think he thinks transhumanism, which the right often decries. If you watch especially the evangelicals, they hate this idea. They think and they make this idea that like Democrats and the left are going to make AI God. Okay, that's the other thing, and this is where this the blindness to their own conspiratorial thinking, and this sort of like the calls coming from inside the house. I have met the enemy, and it is us. Oh my God, I have become the thing I most feared, or whatever. If you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain, all those things that they fed into people's brains over the years. The right seems completely blind to it. It's amazing to me that again, just simply the guy who wants to chip everybody's brain and make money doing it is tacitly running the government right now and has access to your private information because warrantless, they were going to barge into our houses and take all our information or our information's being stolen, blah, blah, blah. They seem to shrug it off when it's Trump. Now, again, a lot of this is based on the trust me, bro ideology.
Yeah.
But at some point in confrontation with these folks, and I'm imploring anyone within the sound of my voice who is either a Democrat in office or who's bringing who's dealing with this, where they have a microphone in front of them, or any of these kids on college campuses that run into one of these dorks from Turning Points USA, like Charlie Kirk, who's at one of these change my mind things. Stop arguing. Drop the mic. All you have to do is go, why are you guys all of a sudden for the guy who wants to put a chip in the brains of every American? Bye. Answer. And if they try to turn it into a question, just stop talking. Make them answer the question. That's the other thing, too, is that oftentimes in a whataboutism situation, people will throw a question back at you. You don't have to answer it. The silence itself is the retort. Stand there with your arms crossed and wait for them to answer your question. And you can even gesture like, après tout, but you don't have to, or you can use, obviously shocking, any other hand gesture that you think will help. But it's super important because there are cracks in the hull of this. And somebody in the chat just brought up, I just saw it. Hold on. What just went by? Did somebody who brought up Steve Bannon? Somebody in here. Oh man, it scrolls by so fast. I'm sorry. Somebody just brought up, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is the one guy in this, and he's not doing it because he cares about humanity. He's not doing it because he's worried about the effects of transhumanism and our humanity if we become one with AI or any of that stuff. He's worried about it because he's in the same place that Elon Musk is with his AI, which is he's behind. Somebody else is going to beat him to the punch, and he's not going to be able to make money off of it or mine it for crypto or whatever he thinks the future of money is. He wants to make himself rich off of it, and he sees somebody else doing it before he can get there. He does not care about the ramifications on the average human being. And Chris Duggs in the chat says, Elon Musk is the definition of an elite. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not a good elite. He's a Nepo baby elite. He is an investor in all these companies. He didn't invent Tesla. He didn't invent the cars. He as part of his deal, he got to be on the patents or buy the patents on a couple of things. He didn't sit there and Tony Stark these things together, you silly, silly people. He's a VC capitalist. just like Peter Thiel. And he got a head start because his family's from South Africa. A head start you never had and you will never have. So stop pretending he's Wile E. Coyote super genius and that Acme's the solution for every technological problem you have. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And thank you guys for the super chats. Really appreciate it. We'll get through. There's some questions I think attached to some of those we can get to on the way back as well too. So we'll be back. Oh my God, Seahawk. Why is this so big? Why does this reset to so gigantic? I don't understand this. Get out of here, you silly thing. Hold on 1 second. Overlays. Placeholder overlay. Why is it so big? There we go. Now I shrink it down. This is so big. It's just stupid. Meow. I don't know why it stretches out like this. It makes no sense to me. I have to like scroll to the end of it. Whoever has this much text? It's one. I bet you it's based on the fact that occasionally these like I'm literally scrolling this thing across trying to get to the end of it so I can shrink it down. So aggravating. Where in the world? Good Lord. At least I can cover our faces. Maybe I do this. Hold on. Is there a text box dynamic?
We're back in 10.
Thank you.
Thank you. 10 minutes to do whatever we want.
Hold on. Let's try to make this one come up. There we go. All right. That's now if I can scroll this inside.
Welcome back to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Thank you, Erica. I will buy some tissue. I'm sorry if I'm sniffly. I got the crud on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I'm been recovering ever since. I burned, the candle at both ends and tried to light the middle, as I am wont to do. And then Johnny Million, and then King's X comes to Las Vegas.
Lucky.
And I gotta go.
Yeah.
And even though my voice is ragged from over singing and getting slightly ill, I gotta
Are they there
sing.
tonight?
No, they're in Vegas. They're in LA tonight. They left and they're going. I already saw them. So
okay.
And they dedicated Summerland to me from the stage, which was lovely because Summer was with me and she got to hear it live, which is really sweet and stuff. And then
cool.
yeah, it's adorable. And they did King, a song
it's fun.
From the first record that I love.
Yeah, that used to be their opener.
Yep. And it's also the video for it is, let's just say politically right up our alley. It's about equality and defending people who are in the minority and circumstances. And it's it's a beautiful song. And they played it. It was amazing. And anyways, and then they ended with Goldilocks, which they often do, and then they turned the microphones around so the audience could sing, and Ty pointed his mic right at me. So I can't not. And
you had to. You had to.
So I it was good. It was like taking a belt sander to my vocal cords. It smoothed out all the rough edges.
There you
because
go.
I sang a cappella with guitars amplified right in front of my face. So it was definitely top of my lungs and range. But I will see them Sunday night. I'm doing a benefit for / tribute show for Jack Russell from Great White on Tuesday at the Whiskey. Friday, I'm at Flappers for our Patreon people. We'll live stream that show. I think Courtney Cronin, who does punchlines and backlines, will be doing a guest set, as well as a friend of Midas Touches as a special guest is going to join us as well, which is really nice. And those guys are lovely. Brett from Midas Touch came to the Tom Arnold thing that I did with Brian Karam, where we did this kind of like talking point about the 100 days. It was received very well, both on YouTube and other places, that we're talking about doing it again in other cities, which would be very exciting. Yep. And then I'm going to be moderating a conversation between Brian and another journalist to be named later in DC at some point in the near future, at a venue I'll have all those details as he gives them to me. But I'm going to be the comedy moderator in this less than comedic period in human life. Yes. Now, the conspiratorial folks that we have been talking about, as blind as they are to this, I think can be reminded. I think that's the goal. Like, we have a responsibility to remind them what they used to care about. And it's a great, because what? Sorry?
That'd be cool if they knew what they used to care about.
Right. I mean, it works, I think, with Christianity as well. John Fugelsang does a masterful job, although the fact that he has as many, scripture verses memorized makes them think he's like a mole or the Antichrist, because I think it's some, people, and I don't know that it's
true.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Revelations said something along the lines of him knowing more than the priests or the rabbis will know. As far as the Bible, he will know the Bible better than ye, or blah blah blah. But or it might have been in one of the Left Behind novels. I don't know. I'm not up on my Kirk Cameron movies right now, which is a failure on my part, because they are the funniest movies this side of 2012.
Oh yeah,
if you watch it, if you watch Tribulation Force. Oh, Left Behind, Tribulation Force. It's so good. There's a lot of them because I don't know if you know this, but the Left Behind novels are more sacrilegious than any. I don't know where we start. Anything anyone has ever said that was burned at the stake.
What do they do?
The premise is, follow me on this, kiddo. Follow me on this. See if you can follow this. If you know, stop me if it gets too confusing. My dear friend Johnny Million, who has a live stream, it's Johnny Million on YouTube and Twitch. Apparently, there was the Rapture, which I'm familiar with. You're familiar with, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah,
you're familiar with the Rapture.
I miss all my friends.
That's where they're all piles of clothes left behind because God wants to see you naked one last time. It's the pervious moment in God's existence. Piles of clothes. We all go to heaven naked. Do you now? Really? That's fascinating. They after everybody's after the nude bomb goes off and everybody is raptured.
The nude bomb. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're welcome. Like reference after reference today.
Smart movie.
After that happens, apparently, God, in his infinite perfection, forgot some. He missed some people. They were in the John, and they had the door closed and the fan on, and it was too noisy, and they didn't know. They didn't get the Rapture alarm on their.
Hear Gabriel's horn.
They did not hear Gabriel's horn at all. Which, of course, I think you have Gabriel's horn, don't you? Don't you have a sample of Gabriel's horn?
I think I do. You got to listen close.
It's in there.
Yeah, there it is.
Right,
there
you go.
Captain's log.
Right around here.
All right, so. Thank you. It's
Michigan gave us Motang.
It's one of those situations where that was very sacrilegious in the classic form. Us making fart sounds and saying Gabriel's horn. But nothing, my friends, nothing is more sacrilegious than the idea that God missed some people during the rapture and left them behind. That's nuts. That is so, like, you could say a lot of things about God, but saying he's forgetful about his, and by the way, not only does he leave some people behind, he leaves behind people who are the most pious. Yes, there is no more Christ-loving human being than Kirk Cameron in this picture. Now he starts out as as I guess the most perfect person in the world, flawless, but not having found Christ personally, but a good man who should go to heaven, but obviously not because he didn't say the magic word. And he is. Do you know who he bases his perfect man on? Oh, that's so good. In the news
Daniel
media,
Boone.
I'll give you. Nope. Bill O'Reilly. He bases the character on Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. That basically Bill O'Reilly is a great example of a perfectly good human being who deserves to be in heaven, but has not accepted Jesus Christ as Lord and personal Savior. And so he gets left behind because he's Bill O'Reilly. And I don't know if I would say that almost makes up for it, because let's say you're God and you're only taking people who believe in you or are good people. I think one of the people you would leave behind is someone who had to pay a woman $33 million to keep quiet over years of sexual assault. And you still lost your job because your company was tired of paying $9 million to the same woman and other women. You know what I mean? Like, if I was God, I'd be like,
cover up.
Yeah. You just made the list, buddy. Lighten up, Francis. So he bases him on Bill O'Reilly. Yes. The issue that we will see, and by the way, thank you guys for the super chats. There was one in there. We had Axe, our dear friend, in there, said the left does not condone violence or vandalism. Also me. The right-wing provocateurs setting fires and breaking windows during BLM protests. I wouldn't be surprised if Elon's own people did it. I agree. That we were talking earlier about Elon Musk's, ability to take advantage of situations like this. I don't want him being able to write those cars off as insurance. I want him to.
No,
I want those cars.
An appropriate form of protest that involves the actual cars, where if you're behind a Tesla at any red light, the second it turns green, you honk.
Yeah, but in Chicago, they wouldn't know that's a protest. That's just, in New York, they call it. In Chicago, we call that the Chicago minute. Like, it's been a minute. So I have to, I want to be abundantly clear. They will take advantage of any violent protests. They will take advantage of any stuff that they can use to distract from their own conspiratorial efforts. Now, Trump, it seems increasingly, and there's a little bit of there's going to be whispers of this everywhere, that he and Musk are headed for a breakup, and it's going to happen at some point. When it does, it's going to be ugly. There is no way this is a soft landing, unless both of them slink away. There was an article, I want to say it was, I guess it was like a CNN panel was sitting around, and Abby Phillip was talking to Elisa Farrah Griffin, who I think used to work with Melania. Was that her job? There was a guy who used to be part of Black Americans for Trump. He goes, I did want to say, just to piggyback off what Elisa was saying, is that I've also said that Elon Musk would be a problem, not just for Donald Trump, though, but for the Republican Party. And I think that we're seeing this now, and this isn't the first set of polls that have shown that Elon Musk's popularity is going down. The minute Trump sees him as an anchor, not only does he go, and he'll fade like Mike Pillow. Mike Pillow wasn't, knocking on the gate and denied access. He was just slowly ghosted over time. And Musk.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't like a big dramatic breakup where somebody threw a ring at him.
Nope. We've basically seen him evaporate in the last little bit. I mean, his ads are back up on Fox, and that's all he can ask for. I think he's going to try to slowly work his way back into big box stores if he can. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, because he's basically the dummy Elon Musk. What a successful businessman. Used to be a crack addict. In comparison to Elon Musk, what a successful businessman because of his parents' money, who's a current ketamine addict. There's a lot of parallels, and they're not good. But there is this idea that he goes, I just want to remind everyone that as a special government employee, Musk, has 130 days to serve within a calendar year. I said it many times before. I think that after the 130 days, Elon Musk will be gone. That they gave him that name instead of having him be the head of Doge officially hiring him on. They made him a special government employee, which is a limited contract. You know all those contracts he's been kicking to the curb, and we'll talk to those after about those in the break, if I may, because it's one of the joyful moments on my show is that we get to go through the Doge.gov site and point out how it is a hashtag Doge is a heist and the flim flam that is going on. Have you looked at the website, Johnny Million? Have you seen the Doge.gov website?
Not lately.
Oh boy. We'll be back after this. It's the HAL Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Hold on. Let's see if we can throw this in here.
The HAL Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So
it does need some percussion.
You think so? Oh, I don't know. That does not count as percussion at all. Thanks very much. Thanks for that, Johnny. Thanks. Yeah. Maybe, the prime definition of going to the well one too many times.
Maybe. Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying.
I can hear those radios turning.
Yeah.
Wait, we're not on the radio here.
We're not on the radio right now. It's just, yeah.
Break.
Yeah, it could be. So this is the website, by the way. I'm going to show you this. No, I'm kidding. I adore you. So estimated savings, $115 billion. Do you know how much the budget for the U.S. government is every year, Johnny Million?
Like $2 trillion or something?
7. $2 trillion is discretionary. $7 trillion. We have a $2 trillion deficit every year. We take out $2 trillion in debt every year. And again, this is largely because of post-COVID stuff, and you pay it off over time. Just like if if a tree landed on your house, your house payment goes up until you pay off the roof, right? It doesn't mean you're going to keep adding on to the roof after you've had it repaired. But that's what the Republicans, that's the lie that they're perpetrating. What kind of a dent do you think $115 billion makes?
Enough to send every single taxpayer $8,000.
Thank you. Send them how much?
8,000. Did you hear about those checks that were supposed to go out to everybody?
Oh yeah, yeah. Considering there's $714,
5,000 to no more checks.
Yeah. By the way,
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay! Yay! That was lovely. No, that was wrong. That's not the right one. That's something dramatic for the end. That's close. Yeah, that'll be all right. That'll work. I got to tell you, that's a sound effect that's included in my sound effects board. I don't think that's a real cat. I think that's a person doing a meow.
Person saying meow? Yeah.
Yep, I don't buy it. I think the goat is real. That's definitely not a person.
The goat is real.
Yeah, but the cat. Meow. I call BS.
No,
that's somebody doing that over a phone. I think I'm just saying hooey. Okay. Estimated savings from Doge so far. The reason I was looking for this is there's got to be. Do we have a drum roll? I don't have a drum roll. That's so sad. I should have a drum roll for these kind of things. Not even close. What could be close to? Nope, not that. That's probably closer to the reality. Yeah. The estimated savings so far out of a $7 trillion budget after the destruction of, according to them, no money going out for the Department of Education, no money going out for USAID, which is not true. $115 billion, a savings of $714 per taxpayer for kind of ever. Not a year, not per year, ladies and gentlemen. The illusion might be that so far we've saved you $714 in taxes this year. And if you pay $1,200 in taxes because you live in Oklahoma or something like that, you're basically, we're almost done. You almost won't have to pay any taxes at all this year. We've eliminated you. That's not how it works at all. And if you look through their leaderboard, the number one agency that they use is the General Services Administration, because that's how most paychecks go out. So they double count everything else. So the General Services Administration will do the payroll for Department of Education, which they have listed, as ED, which I think is appropriate. The EPA, the Department of Labor, Office of Personnel and Management, again, another situation where you can double dip as far as your receipts. And in this, they have all these things where they've cut all the DEI stuff, right? That's what their big cut is. That's what's saving you all this money, America, is these DEI contracts for a couple $1 million here and there to make
That's
sure
where
that
all the wasteful spending is going.
Right. And the other one is magazine subscriptions, which before we were having to write off in the taxes of every government employee who worked in the financial system in the SEC and all the employees there that would have to keep track of these things or pay attention to markets, know these things. They'd have to get their own, and they would write it off on their taxes. Turned out if we just bought the bulk subscriptions and gave them to them, we'd actually make money on taxes because they didn't have to write it off on their taxes, and it's less than that. We get it at, let's say you're getting it because you get these subscriptions in bulk. It's $12 a year per person, but they could write off $50 a year the other way around, extrapolate that over tens of thousands of employees or anybody, contractors and other related people. Ta-da, you've lost money. You've actually cost the taxpayer money in the tax base. You've just shifted it to somewhere else. Do you think any of these morons know this? Absolutely they do. Travel supports, futures and trading. This is BG Consulting Services, LLC, travel support services. So 2.7 contract, the savings was 2.4 because they canceled the contract. Did you really save any money? Maybe using this company was saving the taxpayer money, because if they had to do it directly through the Office of Personnel and Management or travel services within it, or they had to have an entire, infrastructure element inside their department for everybody's travel, it actually cost more money. Perhaps.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these things, they'll list these things like evaluation research services at the BPA from Fours Marsh Group, $5 million contract for consultation of something. This is financial, but it's a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It was just work they were doing for them. It doesn't say what they do on this particular list, just that they were working. So you basically are just cutting funds from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You're not outlaying it. Savings, zero. So let me explain something to the taxpayer. In a situation like this, the canceling of a contract like this means that the work is not being done, but the contract still has to be made whole, because nobody's going to sign a contract that goes through multiple administrations potentially without having something in there that says, hey, we're doing all this work up front and we're starting this process rolling and we're building, maybe a software basis for this, or we're hiring employees. We're not going to do this if we're just going to get the funds cut off the next time the appropriations committee works. All right, nope, we've got the funds appropriated. This needs to be done. Therefore, here's the contract. And till the contract ends, you guys are cool. Cool. Right. $5 million contract, zero savings. Now, the contract itself, evaluation and research at the BPA. Let's just pop into this contract. Now, all of these contracts are already available, not on the Doge site because you can click through to them, but they make a reference to them. They put a PDF of them attached to each of this that is already on the spending.gov, usaspending.gov site, which has been around forever, and tells you where all the dollars are going. So if the idea is that people have no idea how the government is spending their money, then how are you using the documents that are already on usaspending.gov to reference what's being spent if it didn't already exist? Okay, so this just says contracting office name, whatever, business type. the support management data collection, marketing research, and public opinion polling. It's a polling contract that went out to see if what they're doing is working, whether people feel good about it, for the CFPB, what their issues are, their primary ones, so they know what to go after. And basically what this is by eliminating this, they feel like they're blinding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. If they can't ask, they can't run a poll. Hey, what's your biggest concern as a consumer? Are you running any problems with your banks? Are there fees you want us to go after? That kind of stuff, which was, Biden was big on, was eliminating unnecessary fees. Now we can hamstring these kind of things. Hamstring, which is delicious, by the way, if you haven't ever had that. It's I don't know. It takes like 8 weeks to make.
Is it
you
like
put it in a clay
jerky?
pot. Yeah, no, it's soft. It's like pulled pork, but you bury it underground and it dirt cooks. Anyways, hamstring. So yeah, that was my feet coming out. That's right. I like that one. I have exercised the building.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
All right, so so this is all of these situations where they're posting things, the forms that they're posting that show what the contract is for, how it was set up, and all these things clearly already existed. And the oversight committees in the Congress and the House and the Senate had access to them. So when the Ted Cruz of the world, we had no idea where this money was going and what it was doing. And when he had Elon Musk on his podcast, which in and of itself should be a problem. You have a billionaire with government contracts who has access that he shouldn't have to government computers meeting you on there. That should send up some red flags. But the reason Doge is able to count these, by the way, contracts we are paying out, but the work is not being done. The polling has stopped. The government has no interest now in what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau might find out about the average American. And you'll notice every contract on this, and I'm scrolling through them on the site, you'll see Consumer Financial Protection through all these. They just flat out canceled these contracts. They either paid them for convenience, anything with DEI is attached to it. You can see DEI training, Department of Agriculture, $25 million, KL Scott and Associates for DEI. This contract, $25 million. In this one, action obligation total $25 million, Peachtree Street in Georgia. Support professional program management, support administrative management, general management support, diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, assessment and training services. $25 million contract. The action obligation total $25 million. Total estimated order value. Signed on January of 2025. Oh, wait. Hold on a second.
What?
Oh, I see. It was signed on 1/22/2025, which means Trump signed it before, after he must have okayed it right afterwards. Anyways, data period performance started in 2023. Last date of order was 1/22. So they signed on it and off it in the same day. Terminate for convenience, which means if they terminate for convenience, they have to pay it out, which is why it says $25 million, but there is no work being done. Were they able to save this money? Is this money being saved, ladies and gentlemen? Because now, again, they don't care if it's saved. They just want to stop the DEI trade.
No, it's just something for their sycophants to retweet.
Right.
And
it's a dump. But they just list everything, every current contract that either died under Obama died under the last year of Biden, started under Obama, has DEI in the title, or is just associated with a program, a department they want to get rid of. They're nowhere near, this isn't all savings. So the number at the top that says $115 billion worth of savings is nonsense. I've just shown it to you that it's nonsense because there are a bunch that are paid. This is how it's going to be. But these distractions, this page, not for you and I, Johnny Million, not for us to dunk on us. It's for maggots. This is to convince MAGA that work is being done in their name, and it ain't.
No.
We're at the end of the show.
But
Don't
they're
forget,
happy with it.
Johnny Million's got a live stream. Phil Bittner has his show, and so does Johnny Million. Johnny Million's on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday now. What's your schedule?
Nope, just Friday.
Really? Really? You just doing
Really.
Fridays now? Damn, I feel so
Yeah, I'm
denied.
just doing Fridays. Yeah, getting
You
tired. My old
lazy.
age.
All
It's
right. I
cancer.
understand. Yeah, your fingers must hurt. Nice King's X shirt, by the way. Love you lots. See you next week. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. We'll see you later. Thank you, Chicago.
Thanks,
we
guys.
were right up. Yeah, thanks. We were right up against that 11, and I was like, try to get that stuff out there. They had to. You could tell when I run up against the line so much that they have to dump out the second. Like Chicago just vanishes from the interview feed, like, oh, that. Because they need to open it for somebody else who's also remote, probably, because that's the nature of things these days. Also, we are on the station now in Minneapolis, I believe.
Oh, neato.
So we're on 2 stations now, and I need to work on my patter. I haven't said the CPT thing because I want to create a patter that includes.
Yeah, you got to get your patter, the call letter patter.
Yeah. And I need the information from Chicago. So we got to talk to Devin about that, or at least like figure out, when, like, so we can do top of hour 1 at CPT. We'll send that to them and they can pop it in themselves. And then we'd have to do it early or during the break. We'll say it. And then they throw it on at the top and then come to us.
Nice.
Or some sort of.
I'm looking forward to seeing King's X in July. I think around 4th of July weekend.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. I mean, it'd be a great time to be in Chicago. I'm just saying. Oh, by the way, because I have you here, and before you leave, and chat room, give it up for Johnny Million, will you? Come on. I mean, this show's zipped by. Yeah, give it up. If it wasn't for those sound. Now, what was your favorite sound effect of the week? Yeah. I hooked I moved my computer over, and this is my music computer, so I had to move the keyboard over so I could continue to work on music while using it for the show. So I moved my keyboard over here, and then main stage allows me to use stuff. Now I'm hoping that my Farrago is supposed to allow me to use like hit a key and make it play that, but it won't do it for some reason. It's being weird. So I gotta work that out. There's a crossed wire.
Some MIDI mapping to do.
It is, yeah, but it might take away the fact that
I like it.
The ability to play piano. Now there's a slight delay, which makes it very weird. So it's only good for like comedy stuff when I'm doing this. It works on the regular recording software, but when it loops through what we do for the show, there's like this.
Yeah, it's sort of like when we try to jam together over the thing.
Yeah, that was very sad. That breaks my heart. We have to do it live, which brings me to why I kept you around for a minute. May 3rd in Chicago, you and me, live show. At a venue that CPT is setting up. There's a whole weekend of CPT live where we're going to have, in front of listeners, which will be a lot more fun than a Chicago town hall. I'm just saying.
I bet. Yeah, I've already I put you on my calendar.
Excellent. So I think you should probably bring a pedal and a guitar, and we'll do and one for me, and or I'll bring an acoustic or something. And
sure.
You know what I mean? We'll do our thing.
Jam for the people.
Yes, exactly. Also, I think Rob Glenn's going to join us for a little bit of that show, if not a separate hour later in the day, live, but not on the radio or something like that. And the like. So May 3rd, you, me, Chicago, done. I'm going to come in a day early at least so I can be prepped and not tired, but also I might stay an extra day so you and I can just like hang out. I'm just going to be up in your grill like crazy. It would be great because I have something I want to track with you. And do you have Logic? Do you use Logic?
I don't. I use Persona Studio One, but we can just do stems.
I can bring the stems. Yeah, I just need to know that I can make that happen. All right, that's all I'm saying. The rest is a total secret. So until then, Johnny Million, I will see you on. Hold on, I'm trying to do a real transition to something. Let's go to where is it? Nope, that's not the one I wanted. That's it. This is the part of the movie where I'm, I got to get this thing up to 95 to check out the fluorocarbon output. You a cop? As far as you know, you gonna take me to jail for car theft? Car theft? Why'd you steal a car? I sure did. I'm not even sure that's a crime anymore. There's been a lot of changes in the law. That'll work for me. So, Johnny Million, love you. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Oh, yeah. I feel like you're growing up.
All right.
There you go. That's for you, Johnny Million. All right.
Thank you.
Cheers. See
Bye,
you later.
everybody.
Bye. All right. And chat room. Hold on. I should hold on to this. Bring in the chat room for just 1 second. Wait. Hold on. I'm going to turn off the music for a second. Before I go, that was a false ending. Before I go, I want to thank the mods for having to deal with some of the ugly that we had to deal with today. Extra busy this weekend. It apparently happens, and there's got to be some sort of bot response to this. It apparently, and I'm sure Mark P. and Andrea and CSL might even notice this, Carl as well, might notice that this happens whenever we talk about Musk, whenever we point out that Musk is full of shit and that he sits on a throne of lies, that's more than Trump anymore, which is interesting. The Trumpies are just like, oh, I don't know, yeah, that's not true, and then they split. There's maybe one. But when we go, where's the kidney? I'm working on it. It's a button issue. God damn it. Hold on. You know what? I'm not leaving until I can fix that because it matters. Because I'm that kind of I'm feeling magnetized. Okay, so we go to Stream Deck. It would be the Mega Deck, and it would be page 2. No, that's the wrong one. Here, go to the default. Nope. Go to the Mega Mac. And then we go to, nope, that's not where it is either. I'll find it. Don't worry. No, it's going to be on the left one, but it'll be on the default profile. Nope, it'll be on the, yes, it will. No. Oh, that's why, because it collapsed. I remember. It's not stored on any of them. That's why, because I have to rebuild it from scratch because I don't have it. And that's sad. It's a big thing. It took me a long time to build it. I'm going to copy and paste it. Don't worry. It'll happen. Anyways, I will fix it. I forgot. It takes a lot. And my lights bugged out this week, or I would have fixed it already. I had one light going off every hour. That's why clearly the deep state is trying to stop me. So if you like the show, patreon.com/HALSparks. What a terrible way around that. Anyways, pitter patter. Yes. Pitter patter. So, and yes, and we also have the Sparkler Zoom. Thank you, Mark P. So, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it's going to increase because not only are we, does Musk deserve more attention as opposed to just a bullshitter or a bad businessman or something like that, or just kind of a Nazi genuflecting creep, but also because he's this close to the proximity of politics. Sorry. If you want to be this close to the voting and you want to be an unelected bureaucrat who has control over in between the voter and what they want done, and you're not being transparent about it, we get to call you out on it. And the more we do that, because the damage he's doing is going to become increasingly apparent, we are going to continue to bring attention to it. And that means we're going to have more maggots show up. Just say it. Just say it. It's going to happen. Okay, now I can leave in a gentlemanly fashion and go take my family to, wait, I feel like, wait. Yeah, feeling that one today. And with this, I can go take my family to lunch. All right, love you guys. See you on Monday.
movie.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
It's not Irish. It's not English.
Oh, yeah. Fair, where's your contest with horses and all?
It's just, well, it's just piking.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
So that's what first going to be.
Leon is getting larger.
Hail to the king, baby.
I am a HAL 9000 computer. I became operational at the HAL plant in Urbana, Illinois on the 12th